So how do we know God is indescribable? And He is indescribable. This is not the Indescribable Tour because Chris has a song named Indescribable. This is the Indescribable Tour because the song is about a God who truly is indescribable. There are hardly enough words. But we are here tonight to worship. This is an amazing thought. A God who is indescribable. You say, well, how do you know that? All you have to do is walk outside on a dark night and look up into the sky, and you will know when you look up that this God we're worshiping tonight is beyond our wildest dreams. The scripture says, I love the way the psalmist wrote this. He said, the heavens are telling the glory of God. In other words, they're not just up there, twinkle, twinkle, little star. They're on display, and they are shouting back down to all of us who look their way, saying, God is amazing. He is indescribable, incredible, bigger than you've ever dreamed of. He's greater than your biggest prayer, the biggest step of faith you've ever taken. This God is amazing. All you have to do is look up. And the scripture says the heavens are telling the glory of God. The skies declare the work of His hands. Day after day, the psalmist wrote, they pour forth speech. And night after night, they tell us what they know. And they're telling us tonight, don't count Him out and don't sell Him short, because God is huge. He is ginormous. He is greater than every thought we've ever had of Him. And they're like a billboard who tells us that every single day. The scripture is so simple. I love it. I love science too. But the scripture says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. I love that. Some people think it was the Big Bang. I'm okay with that too. I think when God created the heavens and the earth, it was a fairly large bang. I think there was quite an event going on when God created the heavens and the earth. And a few verses later it says, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. Of course there was. If that's what God asked for, that's what God got. And when He wanted light, He got light, and the universe came into existence, and it's massive. We don't even know how big it is. We always call it the known universe. In other words, translation, we haven't built a big enough telescope yet to see exactly what is out there that God has created. But every time we build a bigger telescope, we're wowed once again that it's bigger than we thought. There's more amazing stuff out there that we've never seen, and God's just laughing all over again, going, yeah, congratulations. Is that all you got? All right, well, go back and build a bigger one, and when you come back, I'll show you something else that you haven't seen yet. He must be up there going, come on, work on it faster, build it faster. I got stuff up here that will blow your mind. Scientists are stumped. One of their dilemmas is they think there must be more habited planets in the universe. And one of the arguments, I think it's a great argument, the argument is if the universe is just simply a habitation for you and me, it's way oversized, to which I go right on to that. I think it might be a little too big if it's just a home for you and for me. But what if the primary purpose of the universe is not to be a home for you and me, but what if its primary purpose is to show off the splendor and the majesty and the greatness and the glory of the God who created it all? Then the universe is not too big at all. The universe is just about the right size after all. When light came out of the mouth of God, I hear people say things all the time that they don't think about. They're like, I would like to have been there when God created the world. Oh, no, you wouldn't have wanted to be there when God created the world. You would not have wanted to be there the day He said, let there be light. Because when He opened His mouth, light came flying out of the mouth of God, traveling 186,000 miles a second. That's the speed of light, in case you weren't paying attention back in middle school. Light travels 186,000 miles a second. You're like, oh my goodness, that's faster than we came up to Hardy Toll Road to get here tonight. I mean, that's moving on. Absolutely. It's so fast that a beam of light could circle the earth 7 times every second. That's flying. And it came out of the mouth of God going that speed. You wouldn't want to be standing there in that moment when He opened His mouth, and light came screaming out of His mouth, a blazing glory like nothing we have ever seen or comprehended, going faster than we've ever imagined. And when He did, the universe just lit up. The scripture says, by the word of the Lord the heavens were made, the starry host by the breath of His mouth. We live in a little subdivision in the universe called the Milky Way galaxy. In case you didn't know, that's where you live. Some of you are thinking you live in Shady Grove. No, you're living in the Milky Way galaxy. That's your subdivision in the universe, a very big universe that we have to use something called a light year to get around in. You say, well, what's a light year? Well, that's how fast light travels in 1 year. And we know it's flying 186,000 miles a second. So if light goes 186,000 miles a second for a whole year, it goes 5.88 trillion miles in a year. And that's the measurement, or one of the main measurements we use to get around in the universe that God has created. That's how big it is. The foot, not going to help you in God's universe. The yard, of no value to you whatsoever in God's universe. The mile, insignificant. The kilometer, Matt, not going to help you getting around in God's universe. We have to use a ruler that is 5.88 trillion miles long to measure things in God's universe. And our home subdivision, the Milky Way galaxy, just came into being. It consists of billions of stars. Just our subdivision, the Milky Way galaxy. Not hundreds, not millions, not hundreds of millions. Billions of stars in our home subdivision, the Milky Way galaxy. And scientists say that there are hundreds of billions of other subdivisions and galaxies in the known universe. This shot is where we live. It's a little snapshot of the Milky Way galaxy. If you zoom into this star-forming region, you see something pretty amazing. This particular shot is a close-up of a star-forming region in our subdivision, taken by a friend of ours named Dr. David Block, who's an astronomer down at Wits University in Johannesburg, South Africa. And we were down there a few months ago, and he was telling us that if we were to count the billions of stars in the Milky Way galaxy, 1 star per second. So if we just started with any one of these, I don't know which one you want to pick. Let's just start with this one right here. And because I can reach it. And we start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That looks like 1, but I'm close enough to see it's 2 that are close together. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's go back over here. 12. You're like, oh, please don't count them all. If we counted all the stars in our subdivision, 1 per second, it would take 2,500 years just to count the stars in the Milky Way galaxy. And God says about himself, you want to know how the universe is telling us that God is big? Through the prophet Isaiah, he says, to whom will you compare me? And who is my equal, says the Holy One.